Hey, welcome! Today we'll be turning this teeny tiny glass container into a teeny tiny terrarium. Now there are two ways to go about it. We can work with it as is, or we can turn it upside down. Yeah, I like it this way. Now before we can get started, we need to prepare this container. I started by masking the areas of wood that'll be on the outside of the terrarium. Next I grabbed a tiny paintbrush and started to paint liquid rubber on all the areas that'll be on the inside of this terrarium. I'm doing this because if we were to use it as is, the wood will probably start to rot pretty fast. And the liquid rubber makes the wood completely waterproof. A few hours later the rubber is almost dry. And while we wait for the last bit to dry, I'm gonna figure out what I want the scape to look like. I've got a few different kind of stones available. First of all, we got this one, and although it has a lot of potential, I'm afraid it's just too big. I could fit in one rock, but yeah, gonna try something else. Next up are a few pieces of lava rock. I love to work with this kind of stone. This one might be a winner, but since I've used it in the previous two scapes already, I prefer a different kind of stone for this one. I've also got a few small pieces of Oko dragonstone. I think this might work, but if you get a bigger chunk of this rock, it'll have a crazy texture and I feel like these small pieces won't do it justice. So finally, we've got this rock. I don't know what kind it is, but right off the bat you can see it has a lot of potential. Something like this might work. I'll go for this one. Now, since the rubber isn't completely cured, we can't get started yet. But that's okay. I can already remove the tape, flip the piece over, and to make this terrarium fit with my collection, we're gonna stain it in the same color. Now we've got to let this dry. An hour later, we're ready to go. Even without anything inside, it already looks like a tiny terrarium. To build up the hardscape, I first glued down two very small pieces of rock. These help to elevate the middle rock just a little bit and will be hidden later on. On top of the smaller rocks, I placed a tiny bit of cotton and placed glue over top. These two will fuse together and make a big sticky surface for the big rock to rest upon. Next I decided to use my hand to obstruct the view, so you have no idea what the next step is. The final rock was placed on the left side, and with that the hardscape was done. To plant this tiny bad boy, I'm gonna use a grand total of one plant. This one. Christmas moss. I thought about adding more plants, but since the container this moss came in is already bigger than the terrarium, I feel like more plants will make it look overcrowded. Besides, I'm really digging this simple look. The moss was placed, well, pretty much everywhere the rocks aren't. I'm quickly going over the entire thing with a pair of scissors to clean things up a bit. I also contemplated whether or not it needs a bit of wood. I think it looks best being this simple. Now with all that, this tiny scape is already finished and it can be moved to the animal room. I'm placing it next to my mini jungle. And speaking of the mini jungle, if you haven't seen that video yet, I recommend you watch it next. I'll see you there.